Hi everybody, so I'm here today with the much anticipated, long awaited YSL blushes. I've just got 3 of these. I've got another one on the way, but I've got 3 to show you because I wanted to get them out to you straight away to show you the colours that I've picked and how they compare to other shades, which I'll be doing swatch comparisons with, and how they look on my cheeks. So I'm going to try all 3 of these shades on. And I've also got the new YSL Black Opium Glitter to tell you about, which I got because of the sound of all the sweet notes in it. So I'm going to let you know my impressions on this perfume as well. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah, I'm 48, I'm not a professional, I'm just somebody who loves makeup and beauty, and here on my channel I like to show you and review the latest products, give you any beauty news and show you my favourite looks. And if you think you'd enjoy that sort of content, I would love it so very much if you liked and subscribed. I do upload here regularly on my channel, and if you're already subscribed, welcome back to my channel. I really do appreciate you being here. And my skin tone, if you're looking to match with me with these shades, I've got fair to light skin with neutral / cool undertones, and I've got blue eyes. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get straight into this video. So finally we have the long awaited, long anticipated YSL blushes. I believe these were due out on January the 1st. That was the sort of teaser that we got. So I started checking for these the day before, so New Year's Eve. And I've been checking every day since. The YSL website has been saying coming soon for the last few weeks, and it keeps saying coming soon. And then they did launch eventually in France and maybe some other European places last week. So I actually was able to order from France 3 of the shades I wanted, but I couldn't get the 4th shade I wanted. And then they launched in the US Sephora yesterday and the UK YSL yesterday. And again, not all shades were available, but the shade I wanted from my original order was available. So that is on the way to me from YSL, but can take up until 5 days sometimes. I can't get fast shipping, even though it's the UK site. So I don't know when I'll get the 4th one. So I thought I'd just get this video out to you with the 3 that I picked with my very first order. And the 4th shade I can tell you now is the Nude Lavalier, probably the one I'm most interested in all honesty, which is the iconic dusty pink satin. So that shade is on its way to me. I'll include it in another review and probably film a shorts with it, so you'll definitely get to see that one. But today I'm just showing you the first 3 so you can see what this formula is like. And I'm going to start with the shade that I'm probably the most nervous about, but I just wanted to try because this is the sort of shade that can be way too much for me or perfect for me. So this is number 87, and this one is Pink Voltage. This is the brightest one I've got. So there are actually 11 shades you can get from this collection. So I'll pop a picture up of the shades here, and these are £39 each. They are made in Italy, and you get 6 grams of product, and I believe it says 24-month shelf life on the back. So these are a lot smaller in size compared with the bronzer cases, if you're just wondering what the sort of size of these are. They're smaller than I thought they would be actually. They look bigger for some reason on the adverts. So this is actually the satin powder here, not the bronzer, but it's the same size packaging. And it has this faux leather, but I love the fact that each one is telling you the colour of the blush, which I think is such a good move when you're just looking to reach for your blushes. So I really appreciate that. So this one is a cool, bright, vibrant pink matte. And I do have quite a few to compare this one with, so I'll start by doing that. So here is a swatch of the new YSL in Pink Voltage. So the first one I'm going to compare it to, which I have a feeling will not swatch the same, is this one from Dior. So if you see the 2 of them side by side, they are not particularly similar. So this one from Dior is the 001 Pink Rosy Glow, the one that was so popular, but it is a bit of a bright pink, so I thought I'd compare the 2. So here we have the Dior. So you can see it is definitely more of a bright pink and not as pigmented as the YSL. I've got the Gucci True Pink here, if I put them side by side. Again, this one is more of a match, I think, for the Dior because it looks lighter. So there's the Gucci, lightest out of the 3 there. And I've got Golden Hour from Too Faced coming in this sort of packaging. This is the Cloud Crush. So again, side by side. The YSL is definitely deeper again. So here is the Too Faced. This is actually probably the closest match, I think, so far to the YSL. And I've got the RMS Bermuda Rose. You see these two side by side. Obviously the RMS has that glowy finish, whereas this one is a matte finish. Not a huge difference in shade. You're getting just that glow really with the RMS. I've got the Patrick Tar Just Enough, which definitely looks lighter. To get the true effect of the Patrick Tar, I'm swatching the cream first, and then I'm adding the powder on top. I know you're supposed to do that the other way around, aren't you? But anyway, this is just swatches. So here is how the Patrick Tar looks compared to the YSL. So definitely more of a vibrant pink, I'd say. And the last one I've got is the One Size Attention Seeker. This is the Cheek Clapper, I think they're called. So if we look at this, I'm not sure if there's a match there really, but I will swatch these two to compare these two. The bottom one is the highlight, so we have the cream and the powder from this one. Here is the cream from the One Size, and here is the powder from the One Size. So this one here, remember, is the YSL. So a few similarities, some that are closer than others, but just for your reference in case you've got these in your collection and you might be thinking you've already got these shades. If there are any other ones you'd like me to compare, if I've got them I will. I have gone through my collection to see what I think matches, so I might have already covered everything that's likely to match, to be honest. So before I put this one onto my cheek, a little bit of information about the product. It says that this is a bold blurring blush with an ultra sensorial silky powder that blurs the look of imperfections, and it's waterproof and sweat proof, ensures 74-hour all day long bright coloured flush, and it also says that it melts seamlessly onto the cheeks. It's very silky and the skin does not feel dry but comfortable and weightless. No flaking, no caking. It's infused with squalane and it blurs the look of imperfections and pores on the cheeks. The skin will look mattified but feel soft throughout the day. It's also infused with Rose Hip from the YSL Beauty Aurica Community Gardens, I don't know if I've pronounced that wrong, for a healthy looking skin. Their coated couture pigment technology is used, which gives an instant pink colour crush for 24-hour all day long fresh blushed complexion. Ultra buildable, sheer to super bold shades, true colour payoff. So lots of claims there. I think the key one for me is whether it's blurring, whether it's long lasting, and whether it's a true colour payoff, because if that is a true colour payoff, that's a bit much for me. I'm going to start with the only brush I really want to use, so I'm probably going to wipe this brush off in between because this applies my blush the most perfectly. My Rapha brush, the holiday release from this last holiday in 2024. That one little tap has given me all that, so I'm definitely tapping that off. I'm going to do the most gentle of taps to see very tentatively how that sits. That's not too bad actually. So a cool sort of tone, which I think this has, even though it's a bit vibrant, can really suit me, but it can also go full sort of Barbie mode and be just too much. So it's a bit of a gamble when I get this, but you've seen from my collection I do buy these shades because they can work very nicely. And that tiny little tap I think has given me about as much pigment as I'd want, but it's actually given me a lovely pigment. It's gone on beautifully. You can see straight away, you just can't even see the edges of it. It's just gone on as it says it will. Just blurring, yes, and just perfect actually. I've had a little bit of an issue here. I'm in the middle of doing a test with other products with concealer, so please do ignore that. That's got nothing to do here with the blusher. I've got no bronzer on my cheek here, so this is just the only colour going onto my cheek. That is really beautiful. I will build it up more just to show you, but I wouldn't build this up more personally. I would be more than happy to stick with that on both sides of the face and be really, really pleased with the look because that is perfect. I'm going to leave this side to test another one. So here we go with the second tap, all of that on the brush, just with that one tap into the palette. And look at that. These are, well, certainly this one is very pigmented. So you really need to go lightly unless you want a very powerful finish. but it does blend out beautifully, very smoothly. And it is matte, but it looks very natural for a matte. It doesn't look like it's a sort of heavy, cakey matte at all. Beautiful finish, and definitely making me think of their beautiful bronzers. Their bronzers and finishing powders have been my top last year. There were 2 bronzers I put in my top 2 last year, and one of them was the YSL, and my most used finishing powder is the YSL. So for me, their powders right now are phenomenal. So I was really excited about trying these blushes, and so far from this one, it's applying as beautifully. Look at that. And even though it's a matte, I feel like I'm getting quite a sort of glow off that. There's no highlighter on my face, but can you see a sort of natural glow almost? Wow, that's really nice. Got a tiny bit on the upper section of this brush, just to bring it onto the upper part of my cheekbone there. So it's a bit higher, just sort of take it towards the eye a bit. Need to be a bit careful because I will be washing this off to show you the last one. That is very, very beautiful. Oh, I really like that. It is a bit too much for me. I've gone in too heavily, but I hope that's showing you the sort of effect you can get. And if you went in and really swirled this around, I think you could go 10 times that level because the pigment is piling on every time I tap it. So this could be a very, very vibrant brush. So this could suit a lot of So this could suit a lot of skin tones. If you're fair like me, you can definitely wear this one. Just go lightly if you like this sort of finish, or lighter as I do. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with this one. So that is number 87, Pink Voltage. So my next choice was this one, which is number 93, and this is Restless Rose. You can see all of these are coming with the little stand-up mirror in a very solid compartment, so it's beautiful packaging with all of these. And again, we've got the colour here on the top. So Restless Rose is a peachy pink satin, so we have a satin finish compared with that matte finish. And I will actually swatch the 2 finishes side by side so you can see what those 2 finishes look like. On my finger, here we have that matte finish that I've just tried on here. And then here we have the satin. So you can see there's definitely more of a sort of glowy finish to the satin. If I just put the 2 of them on my hand. So here is the satin finish. And you can see that sort of glow. A bit like the ones that we get from RMS Beauty. I was going to forget the name then. Beautiful, isn't it? So the first one I'm comparing this to is the RMS Bohemian Girl. They do look quite similar. Maybe the RMS looks a bit lighter. So I'll do a swatch of this and we'll be able to see the difference in the glow. Usually RMS is always the glowier whenever I compare it to anything. So here's the RMS. And here is Restless Rose. So RMS is lighter and definitely a bit more glowy, but not a massive difference. But there is definitely more of a shine on it. And I've got the Haus Labs French Rosette. Not terribly similar, but I'm going to compare any that I thought were a bit similar because maybe you thought the same. So this one has less of a glowy finish. I think it's just a matte finish, this one. Maybe it isn't that different though. So here it is. It's more of a coral in this, where this one is a pinky coral, this one is more corally, I think. So that one is French Rosette from Haus Labs. I've got the new Chanel Fuchsia Rosa, so I'm going to compare that, but the Chanel is looking a lot brighter. I say new, this is the newly reformulated shades from Chanel. So here is the Chanel and here is the YSL. They are quite similar actually, just less of a glow, but the shade is quite similar. I've got the Chanel Le Beige, and this one is in the shade Rose Polaire. So here are these 2 together. Definitely no coral in the Rose Polaire, but they just remind me of each other a little bit. So again, I'll swatch this one in case it's in your collection. Here is the Rose Polaire, a lot less pigment and a lot lighter. And I've got this one from Dolce & Gabbana. I can't read what this says on the back, but it's something peach. It's just so small. Anyway, so this is more of a direct peach, not a pinky peach. So this one being pinky coral, again, I wouldn't expect them to look the same. But in the pan, they looked a bit similar, so I'll swatch them. So here it is, yeah, that is not remotely similar, so I shouldn't have even bothered. But anyway, just in case, because they looked a little bit similar in the pan. And the last one I've got here is from Gucci, and this is the shade Soft Red. So here are these two together. Here is Soft Red from Gucci, and it's nothing like this either. Closest match was the RMS. So anyway, I'm excited to try this because it's got that glowy finish. So I'm just cleaning off the brush I used from Refa, because like I said, I want to use the same brush for all three to get that lovely precise application. So I'm going to be I was going to say I'm going to be more generous. So I just swiped over it. Look at that. You get a lot on your brush, and this is a brush that does not pick up a lot of product. So if you went in with a dense brush with these, I think you would have a hell of a lot of blush on your face. So just be aware of that. But tapping it off, oh, that is absolutely stunning. This was one of the ones I wanted the most when I saw these advertised, Restless Rose. Wow, that is absolutely gorgeous. And look at the glow as well. Wow. That is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. That is beautiful. I love the glowy finish. But again, it applies like a dream. It's not highlighting texture. So even though it's got more of a glow, it's a very complementary type of glow. Oh, that is beautiful. I'll put a tiny bit more, but I definitely wouldn't want to build up more if it was me. But I'm going to put a bit more just so you can see how this looks built up a bit more, if you like to wear a bit more than I do. And take it a tiny bit higher as well. That really is so perfecting, isn't it? It really is. It just gives you sort of glass-like skin. Oh, it's stunning. So you can see the difference between the matte finish, which looks quite glowy to me for a matte finish, it really does. But anyway, compared with the satin, there is much more of a glow, but I felt like this one had a glow, so I don't know if the description is wrong, but that's the description I was given for Pink Voltage. Cool, vibrant pink matte, whereas this is a satin. What do you think? Which one do you think glows the most? This one definitely has a bit more, and certainly when I swatched it, it looked more. Personally, I think the finish on both is perfection, and I definitely want to take both of them down. I think they look a bit ridiculous the way they are. Because I'll be washing all this off, I didn't really want to do too much, but I will go in with my YSL finishing powder and my Buffer Pro and buff this out just to try and make it look more the way I would want to wear it. So if I go around the edges with the Buffer Pro now. Still a little bit too strong because, as I said, I went in twice to show you how it builds in pigment. So they are definitely not holding back on the pigment with these. Like I said, you go in with a brush like the one I use that doesn't pick up too much powder, and you go in gently and they are absolutely fine. But if you do go a bit too mad, you can do what I'm doing now and you can bring it right down using a buffing brush. That's the way I would personally wear them both. I think they are stunning. So Restless Rose and Pink Voltage. Which one do you prefer? I look in the monitor and I prefer Pink Voltage on me, but when I applied it I preferred this one. Maybe it's because my eye look matches Pink Voltage today, whereas this one I probably need to have more of a warm corally finish, maybe a summery shade for me. I love them both. I'm very, very glad I got both of those. I'm going to go off camera and take everything off, reapply the rest of my makeup and be back to show you my last blush. So I've taken all of that off. I've got a nice blank face and I can finish with my very last one. So this one is number 06 and this one is a matte finish Rose Haze. So here is how this one looks, and this is one I think I found quite a few that match up, so this is clearly the sort of shade I buy quite a lot. So I'll show you how this looks first of all. So there it is, lovely shade. So my first comparison is a discontinued Dior one called Splendid Rose Satin number 621. I'll put them side by side for you. They don't look very similar. Now I'm holding them up to the camera. It's funny how on my desk they look a bit similar, and then when I get them up in front of the lights they don't. But anyway, I'm going to continue and show you them. So here is the Dior there. When they're side by side like this, they do actually look more similar, so maybe I wasn't totally off there. And then one of my favourites from Gucci, Rosy Beige, which I don't think is a match, but I was just curious more than anything to see them side by side. I don't think they're going to look the same. The Gucci one, I've stuck my nail in so many times because it's one I've used for years, and for some reason I keep sticking my nail in it, so that's why it looked so bad. Actually, maybe it's not that different. So this one is Rosy Beige from Gucci. The YSL, it's definitely got more of a rosy sort of red to it almost. More of a, even though this one is described as the, well, Rose Haze, isn't it? But this one is definitely more dusty, I'd say. I love that one from Gucci, it is probably my favourite. And then from NARS, which one is this? This is called Dolce Vita. So here are these two side by side. So there's Dolce Vita, much more of a pink compared to the YSL. And I've got the mauve shade here from Dolce & Gabbana. You see these two side by side. So here is the Dolce & Gabbana, slightly darker. And I'm going to compare it to one of the new ones from Patrick Tar. This is the She Goes to the Gym. These two powders here. I think that the She Goes to the Gym is going to be a lot darker and more pigmented because it's Patrick Tar. That is She Goes to the Gym, so it's not really anything like this one, the Rose Haze. I've got another one from Patrick Tar. I don't know if it's, no, it's not one of the new ones. It's the one that's called Not Too Much. So that's Not Too Much. Again, they're not going to, oh, it's the powder I'm comparing it to more than anything. So I'll put the powder, not the cream. Yeah, it's much lighter, so they're not a comparison. So that was a pointless exercise, but I'll show you anyway. It's like a slightly lighter version. Here is the cream from Not Too Much. So I think maybe the cream of Not Too Much with Patrick Tar with the powder make it a little more similar actually. So maybe that it is actually not quite as different. Together I think they probably are. Let me just put them together, that's probably the easiest thing. They probably are quite similar. So here they are together, a lot more pigmented but a similar shade. So if you've got Patrick Tar Not Too Much, you might already have Rose Haze, but a more pigmented version, as I said. And lastly, I've got a few Pat McGrath options to try this up against here. So I can never get these open easily. So this one is Nymphette and this one is Nude Venus 2. And if I get the YSL, if I can hold that up just about, you can see the three of them there. So I think probably the one it looks most like is this one. So that's the one I'll compare it to. So there we have Nude Venus 2, definitely a lighter shade there with Pat McGrath's. And I've also got this trio from Pat McGrath. This is Galactic Sun, the Divine Blush Trio with highlighter and 2 blushes. And if I just hold up the YSL here, do we have any similarities? I don't think we really do. I will just compare them because I've got it out, so just so you can see. This is Divine Rose and this is Desert Orchid. So comparing them to the YSL, I don't think we have a match there. So that is all the swatch comparisons that I've thought of, and now I'm going to go in with this brush again and take a little bit. Again, look how much it's picking up. This is the shade I think is most likely to be more perfect on my skin tone out of the 3 that I've picked up, and it's the one I think will probably go with most looks. And as with the other 2, it is going on perfectly. It's going directly onto powder, so I've got powder on top of my foundation. They just go on like a dream, these blushes, they really do. I mean, you can just be done in seconds because they blend into everything for you almost. Obviously this brush, as I keep saying, is an incredible brush, so this brush really does help. Such a problem for me when I talk about blushes and brushes together. Try and say those 2 words fast. I really struggle with them. So I'm putting a bit more on so you can see how this is looking built up. Now this is getting too much for me, but I will go down and I will go back and calm it down just so you can see how this looks built up a bit. I'll take a little bit up higher. I'd say this is probably building the least compared to the three, as in high pigment. So this is the one I can probably get away with the most. But still a lot of pigment, there really is. Nothing like the sort of Chanel and Dior ones, which you really build gradually. You need to be more careful with these, but they are very, very, very easy to blend in. So I think if you do make a mistake, you do not need to worry. Might take a little bit across my nose as well, just to give me a bit of a fresh face look today. That is a beautiful shade, it really is. And like I said, this is a shade that will go with most looks. It's a very natural shade for me, for my skin tone anyway. Really, really like it. Just take a little tiny bit there, going higher up on the cheek. So here is Rose Haze, over applied. I will be taking this down, over applied for me anyway. What do you think? Gorgeous. All three, the formulas phenomenal. I cannot say a single bad word about the formulas. Desperately seeking my setting powder then, seeing as I've got so many blushes open on my desk. So now I'm taking the finishing powder and making this look the way I prefer to wear it. To be fair, I like to use a finishing powder most days anyway, just to really bring the soft edge to the edge of the blush. But again, for a matte, I think this is bringing the glow. I don't have a glowy base on at all. In fact, I've got a matte base on today. Matte foundation and matte powder. So that bit of glow I'm getting is all coming from the blush. So even the matte is giving me a bit of a glow. So I think that you really don't need to wear a highlighter with this unless you wanted to. It's just giving you a natural sort of bit of glow. They are beautiful. They are everything I wanted them to be. They are as perfect as the bronzers. The formula, the colours, the finish, the way it looks on my mature skin, the way it blends in like a dream, the way it's definitely perfecting. It is living up to the hype. It is absolutely stunning. I love them. And I'm really looking forward to getting my fourth one now, because that's the shade I was most curious about, the Nude Lavalier, which is an iconic dusty pink satin. Now that one does look super pigmented, so that could be quite scary, but I think that shade really caught my attention. It looks quite unique for me, so I'm really looking forward to trying that one. So please do look out for that coming up soon for me. I will definitely show you, but so far everything I've tested, I mean, I just want to go back for more now, but I think it is just that nude one that I wanted. So I didn't get the coral, the pure coral for the summer, because I like the pinky coral. I think I'm covered for the coral with the one I've just got now, the Restless Rose, which has that peachy pink finish. But yeah, very, very happy, really, really happy. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of the blushes I've tried on today. Are you picking any of these up? Have you been waiting for these as anxiously as I have and clinging onto that website, checking every day to see when are they going to be available? But before I go, let me just very quickly show you this new perfume from YSL. So I saw this advertised just before Christmas, and I don't like black opium. I do love YSL perfumes, some of them, like the Libra for instance is one of my #1 perfumes of all time. But I don't like black opium. It's one of those sort of heavy old-fashioned scents, like that's how I see it anyway. Too floral, too heavy, too old-fashioned for me. I just don't like it. I love the bottle. But the reason I went for this is the description. So I'll tell you the description, which might, if you know my sort of taste, you might know why I went for it. So this is described as something that chases the pleasure all night long. Now that's not why I went for it. It says, submerge yourself into the sweetness of a marshmallow musk accord. It was the word marshmallow that really caught my eye. The creaminess of brewed coffee blended with luminous notes of orange blossoms. The coffee floral signature of black opium now dives in a musky, sexy scent. Like an armour of sweetness, the marshmallow musk accords find itself between false innocence and ultra sexiness. Gosh, listen to this description. Awakening a new femininity which transcends this sparkling olfaction. This fragrance does not spray or contain glitter. And here's a close-up of the bottle. Isn't it absolutely stunning? I love it. And I kept the box to show you as well, because that was also very glittery and I thought very, very pretty. Love getting all the sparkles. So the reason I got this one, I'm not a fan of the original at all. I find it too heavy. I find that it's one of the sort of old-fashioned fragrances for me that's a bit too floral and a bit too heavy, and one of those sort of clingy ones. I don't know if I'm describing that well, but if you know what I mean, but I just find it's not at my street. Whereas YSL Libre is one of my best perfumes, one of my absolute favourites, which is a bit lighter but still really lasts all day. This is a sort of heavy floral, the original. But the reason I went for this is they've changed it, they've added sweetness. So the fact that they've now got these sweet scents included in this, the orange blossom and the coffee, well not the coffee, the marshmallow, that's what drew me in. But I've had this on all day and I wore this yesterday as well. It's got the longevity and I don't dislike it, which is a big step up from the original, which I did dislike. But this is still, for me, quite floral, quite heavy and not sweet enough. I cannot pick up on the orange and I cannot really pick up on the marshmallow either. It's just an okay fragrance, but it's certainly not a gourmand sort of fragrance. I know that's not how it's described, but it has gourmand notes. So I was expecting it to be a little bit sweeter than it is. I thought it sounded perfect for me actually, for a sort of winter gourmand sort of fragrance. That's how I was seeing it. So it's got the coffee, but it's still got the marshmallow and the orange, and I thought that's going to just be perfect and bring in the sweetness enough for me to like it a lot actually. But I'm not a massive fan, so I don't hate it, I just like it. So that's the way I would report back on this one. I think if you love really sweet fragrances, this one probably won't be up your street. Whereas if you thought the other one just needed to be sweetened a tiny bit, that's what this does, a tiny bit of sweetness. So if you feel that way about the original, it could be worth you trying this if you just want that little bit of sweetness added. But I would definitely recommend trying this one on in a shop. It is very hard to get across to you how this actually smells without you trying it on. But yeah, it's not as strong and sort of what's the word, when it really sort of hurts your nose. I know that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But that's how I feel about the original. It doesn't do that, but it doesn't bring enough sweetness. So it's an okay one for me, but I would not be getting another one or a bigger one. And saying about that, the prices for this was 30 millilitres and £72. For £103 you can get 50 millilitres, and for £145 you can get 90 millilitres. So definitely would try that one on first if you get the chance to get a sample or go in store and give it a spray. But anyway, the packaging, stunning. But the blushes, which was the main reason we're here, they are absolutely fabulous. Were they worth the wait? I think they were. Maybe they kept us waiting, knowing full well we were going to fall in love with them, because I have definitely fallen in love with these. I love them. I would say I'll go back and get more, but I don't think the other shades are completely my sort of shades. I can't wait for my nude one to come, the Nude Lavalier, is that what it's called? I'm just going back through my notes. Yeah, Nude Lavalier, the iconic dusty pink satin. Cannot wait to get that one. It looks very different, very unique, and I definitely want that one. There is one that's more of a pure coral. Obviously I've had the Restless Rose, which is peachy pink today, so I don't feel like I need the pure coral. I do prefer a coral to have a hint of pink. So I think I'm covered with all the shades I wanted once the Nude Lavalier arrives. But they are beautiful, both finishes, this one being the matte, but we've seen the satin finish. I love the glow of that actually. And the Nude Lavalier satin as well, so I will be able to try another satin, so I'm quite excited for that. But yeah, they are gorgeous, and I'll be very curious to see if at the end of the year they're still up there with the best blushes, in my opinion, which is what happened with the bronzers. They launched their bronzers quite early at the start of last year, and they remained right at my number one. They've never left my desk, the YSL bronzers, neither has the finishing powder. They are always here with me because they are fabulous. So when it comes to powders, YSL are knocking it out of the park for me. They really are. And I would love to hear your thoughts on what I've tried on today, the shades I've tried. Any shades you might be looking at. Have you already picked them up, or are you thinking of it? Do you have a wish list? Are there colours you're trying to get and you can't? Because it's really frustrating how they're not releasing all the shades for some reason. But anyway, I do hope everyone's able to get what they want, and I do hope that you found this video helpful. If you have, please do hit the like button and the subscribe button if you've enjoyed it. I would love to have you here. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for being here at the end of another one of my videos. I really appreciate you so very much. and I hope to see all of you again for my next video. Take care everybody, bye.